Do you like to keep your house clean, or is it a little bit messy?
Do I like to keep it clean? Yes. Is it clean? Depends. I have dogs. I have 2 dogs
Okay, but
that
that's
shed.
like dirty.
Yeah, that's just like
messy.
lived
Means like you,
Oh.
you got stuff everywhere.
Yeah, that's lived in.
No.
Lived in's different.
yeah.
My bedroom is clean. My office is not. My office is kind of a mess right now, actually. But the common spaces in my house are clean.
Is your office a mess with like papers?
My desk is covered in stick tape because that's where I tape my stick. Pens, legal pads.
Do you
my
just use like a
laptop.
different tape every time you tape your stick? Or what's
No,
there
I
tape all
have.
over your desk?
Well, I have white grip tape.
Yeah, what kind of an operation
Yeah.
are you running over
I
there to
use
tape
whi-
your stick? Think people have gone crazy stick
White-
taping these days.
White grip tape and white blade tape.
He makes like
And it's on
little
my desk.
cutouts, like shapes on his stick.
No, I don't. That
That's
was
also
one
crafting.
time. Yeah, it's my
that
craft.
one time.
It's my
Jossie and I
crafting
talked about
station.
how men don't like to
Craft.
craft like women do, but then like she was talking about like that one game where they paint the little figurines.
Yeah,
That's
Warhammer.
crafting.
Like boys are like Warhammer enthusiasts are like crafting all day.
Just don't call it crafting.
You're right. Building
'Cause it
minis.
can't-
I'm hammering.
Building
I'm
minis.
a war
I'm
hammer.
more
Yeah, it's got
hammering.
war in it.
Okay, Jossie, is your house
Yeah, no,
clean?
my house. I try to keep my house super clean. I have kids. I don't go in their rooms, and their rooms are not clean. But because of that, like the only way for me to stay sane is like OCD clean the rest of my house
Yeah,
at almost all times. Although we do allow us to like there's crumbs and stuff. Like we live there,
yeah.
but I don't own like a ton of items. I'm like kind of a minimalist.
Okay.
So. And then like, sometimes you like when you get divorced, you lose half your things. And I did that twice.
So now
you're-
you're down to like a quarter.
Your stuff
I'm
has
a
been
minimalist,
cut
like,
so
by
many
default.
times. Your stuff got cut in half and then cut in half again.
So it's kind of nice because like I never have anything around. Like you know what I mean? It just feels like nice and clean all the time.
So is your house just down to like 2 folding chairs and a card
Okay,
table?
so I have like 17 prime places to sit, like to chill.
Okay, 17 seems like a bit much.
They're everywhere,
Seems like a lot.
and that's it.
There's just like
And a
bean
fridge,
bags.
and like a
And a
fridge.
fridge. Where do you sit?
Well, ever
where
since
do
I
you
got-
eat?
Okay, we have tables and
Okay.
things
What's
like
your
that.
preferred place to chill?
This is a really hard question. Probably the balcony.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, but there's lots of places. Like in the winter, I wouldn't choose the balcony
Ah.
because there's a
Do you
couple
have like a
couches.
specific comfy chair?
I've got a couch in my room. I've got a couch in the living room. Oh, and a comfy chair. Sometimes I forget that one's there because there's like
Because there's so many choices.
Your house sounds so
she
relaxed.
says she's a minimalist, and then she says she has like 17 couches.
yeah, like
Throw pillows.
it's basically just a bunch of places to chill.
That's our
And some
next.
crumbs.
That's our next podcast opener. Is if you like throw pillows or if you think they're a waste.
Are you guys candle people?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
I have so much stuff at my house. That's my answer to that
I'm a big
question.
candle
you
person.
got stuff.
I love decorations. I also like
Yeah,
make a lot
decor.
of stuff. So
Decor is like, well, first of all, I just learned recently how to use a drill.
yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, you should see me. But
You should see.
Jossie with power tools.
but like up until now, there's never been a photo of any loved one in any home of mine.
If you
ever.
need family
Okay.
photos, hit me up.
I don't.
What?
Like
Oh, now I get what you're saying. You're offering to take
yeah,
family
yeah.
photos.
Take the
I thought you
pictures.
meant like you wanted to give her a bunch of
like,
photos
of
of your
my
family.
family.
I don't have any decor. Like,
You want photos of my family to put up on your?
I'd put something up if I had decor. Like the only decor I have is stuff like my second grandparent passed, and
Yeah.
I was like in the area, so I got a few boxes of stuff from
Nice.
her estate pile, and that's my decor.
Why did estate piles come up in both of our podcasts today?
This is a morbid place.
Isn't an estate pile even a thing? I usually just make words up.
It's not a thing, but it fit what we were talking about.
Well, that's what I
so-
mean. Like my aunt and uncle were like, if anybody wants like grab some stuff, there's some stuff.
Come grab it.
So that's how I got my decor. But like I think
But you didn't put it up on the
I think
wall.
I grew up with like too much decor.
Yeah.
Now it's just empty.
Fair.
Hey, there's no way around. I'm top of the mound. I'm queen of the mountain. My cup running over. I already told ya. I'm moving fast. You live in the past.
thank you,
I'm never going to get
hockey
used
fans,
to that.
for joining us for Epi 4 of the Women's Hockey Pod.
Is it episode 4 already?
Yeah,
Wow, we're cruising.
I know. We're on our way to a 1-year anniversary.
Aw, can we go to Pier 1 for our 1-year anniversary to get you some decor?
We'll need decor. I thought that was going a different direction.
We're going to go to Williams. What? Going to Pier 1?
Well, I mean, I could also buy things from Lazy Boy.
Well,
You don't need more couches, though. We're trying to get you to the
we're trying to get you away from Lazy Boy.
Yeah, no more.
Williams
Lazy Boy.
Sonoma.
Too expensive.
Williams Sonoma, Pottery Barn, Pier 1.
You know where my go-to place to buy things is?
Five
Facebook
Below.
Marketplace.
I need
love
everything
it.
needs to be on a budget, but not a budget, but like it's
You
a
can
it's a
get-
deal.
You
It's like
can
a
get
deal.
good stuff on
Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace.
I don't
you
want to
can.
spend money on anything.
I don't spend money on anything.
Nothing.
I don't have money to spend, so I can't.
I borrowed this notebook from the office.
Yeah, I can tell. All right, let's roll, Jocelyn.
All right, we got some stuff to talk about. We've got Boom May here later, so forgive me that I'm getting through some of this.
Let me tell you, he brings the boom.
He brings the boom. Getting
what
through
he
some of
does.
this other stuff here, just to get you to the interview more quickly. But I would say we can't talk about women's hockey this week without touching on the rivalry series that 3 of the 9
100%.
games or something wrapped up this weekend. What are you thinking?
I think it was great. I think that it's at least an attempt at drumming up a little bit of excitement and playing on the rivalry between the United States and Canada. I don't think it's landing quite as heavily as people want it to. Like, I had no idea how to watch.
Yeah.
It says
Well,
it was
I
on,
can't watch The Wild. I can't figure out how to watch The Wild.
it says
either,
it was on
so let's-
NHL Network, but how many people have the NHL Network? Was it available for stream?
Yeah, there were some way. Any hockey game right now feels like it's hard to figure out how to watch it. If you can get it on one of your devices, you are winning.
ESPN Plus works for me, but my problem is I can watch any Toronto Maple Leafs game. I cannot watch the Wild.
That's what I'm saying.
because
You
it's
can hardly
blacked
watch
out.
any hockey. But to your point, the rivalry series was like an awesome way to expose new markets to that national level hockey prior to the P-Dub. So I think it's losing some luster. I think I need to remember who got injured, but I think it's becoming more of a liability, this rivalry series right now, with like all of its rosters coming from college and national rosters. So fun weekend though. It's no doubt for anybody that got to play. For fans of women's hockey, the United States came out with a big win in their first game of the series, and then Canada took the other 2. So Canada comes away with this one up on the United States, 1 game. But I don't think any of it means anything. I think we talked about
It's more of a showcase, but I think you're right. The GMs in the PWHL and the coaching staffs on various colleges are holding their breath, for their collective breath for these games. They go, oh, please, God, Layla Edwards, don't get injured.
Yeah.
Don't get injured. Don't get injured.
when
But
we had no WCHA hockey to talk about last week because it was their international break, which is historically when these players get a chance to go into some different markets and participate in some other teams. And so, yeah, certainly, like you said, these coaches are waiting with bated breath to make sure that these series don't end in some sort of disaster for their top players. And speaking of Edwards, she debuted herself on the roster for United States in the rivalry series as a defender, which is not her top position. She's got 13 goals in 12 games for the Badgers as a forward. She's got a lethal shot. She's like 6 something ridiculously tall. So interesting roster move or lineup move for the United States. But I think what does that say to you when they're taking a player that I think she was MVP of the World's Championships in the spring as a forward, and now here she is in the rivalry series on the U.S. roster as a D.
it tells me that they wanted her as badly as possible. Sounds bad, but they wanted Layla to be on this roster badly because she is one of the most popular players in the country, and she's a very talented hockey player. I think they would have found a spot for her, even if they had to list her as a goaltender. Maybe she wouldn't have played, but they would have listed her as a goaltender. She's just one of those personalities, and she is a face of this new generation of women's hockey players in the country, and they needed her on that roster.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's awesome that Edwards. I mean, I think she could have made it as a forward as well, but with this early of the couple rivalry series packs, we'll call them, we won't see as many college kids later toward the February games. Those kids will be more focused on their college teams, I think, at that point. So definitely nice to get Edwards on this because it was like the U22 team that she was participating in, or when she won.
Was it U20s?
I think she'll continue to have a spot on these rosters either way. So it's fun to see. What I like to see, actually, what the reason I even kind of mention it is coming out of tryouts, basically at 15U's with some of the girls I'm coaching. I just want to point out, like, here's a woman in her 20s who's likely going to make a U.S. Olympic team, who's busy switching positions at the national scale. She's leading Wisconsin in goals, basically, and as a forward, and just never to feel like it's some sort of a negative necessarily if you're getting moved around. I think the United States wants Edwards to develop. They want her to get an opportunity to be in these locker rooms, and as you mentioned, to provide what she brings to the locker room to the other players as well. But it's definitely a developmental opportunity for Edwards, and to show how flexible she is to be able to come out. I think she ended the season like -1, or the end of the weekend with like -1, which is a testament to how well she must have done back there.
Yeah, it's a wash for these
Yeah.
for the 3 games.
Yeah.
The rivalry series will be back in action Thursday, February 6th and Saturday, February 8th. Those games will both be in Canada. On the 6th, they will be in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and on the 8th, Summerside, Prince Edward Island. Ooh, that sounds kind of fun.
I bet that's in the travel budget.
Corporate trip to Nova Scotia.
I think it's probably in the travel budget.
I ain't even bullshitting right now. I'm gonna put that down.
Well, I mean, how do you think that the Jocks and Jills got themselves? I mean, they were traveling. There's only one way for us to get bigger.
They're hardcore though. They might
We're
pay for their
hardcore.
own travel. I'm not that hardcore. I am not signing up for another
Okay,
Amex
traveling to
pay
PEI.
go to
Either way,
PEI.
traveling to PEI is going to be like a 14-hour hitchhike for us, so it doesn't matter. Like it's going to take us forever to get
I
there.
am not hitchhiking again. Never again.
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 New
Thankfully,
podcast intro.
Thankfully, Layla Edwards will be back in action this weekend. All 4 NCAA Division I, all 4 of the top teams are going to play each other.
Well, they are. You want to get right into upcoming games without talking about any results. Is that okay with you, or do you want to come
I
back?
am following your lead here. If
To
you want to
results.
go into the results.
Well, we have coming off the international level rivalry series, we do have a major WCHA rivalry weekend coming up, but let's save a little bit of that because I just want to quickly touch on a couple things. Results based. D3 we kind of skipped over last week because we're still pretty early in the season. Preseason polls just dropped this week. The MIAC has 4 teams in the top 18. WIAC has, I think, 2 or 3.
I can never tell.
Right. So regarding that, River Falls number 1, Gustavus number 2, and they just got super excited and played each other preseason. So they played last night. River Falls won that 5-3, but I will note Gustavus was up 3-0 going into the third when River Falls scores 5 to win. So bet that was an awesome game. I did not get a chance to see that because I was on the ice myself. But we'll see a ton more really good stuff out of River Falls and Gustavus. Shout out to Lily Mortensen. I got a chance to play with her a little bit this summer, and I saw her on the cover of the USA Hockey magazine this week. So that is awesome. She scored the first goal of the game yesterday. So first goal of the season for Gustavus. Lily Mortensen, congratulations.
Fantastic. They did play a preseason exhibition. This is not an exhibition. This is a regular season game between the two. So Gustavus starts the season 0-1, UW River Falls 3-0-1 after this game. And we will find a time. I think going to River Falls or going to St. Peter might be more in the travel budget as opposed to Nova Scotia and PEI. But,
like a early season 1 versus 2, 45 minutes down the road on a Tuesday night we missed.
The next time these two teams play, and these two teams will probably rotate in that 1-2 spot for the duration of the season. December 10th. Which is a Tuesday. They will play in St. Peter, Minnesota. So we might have to circle that in red on the calendar.
We will. All right, and then just briefly, D1, like I said, the WCHA had an international break. We try to cover Minnesota-born players as often as possible, so there's fewer people to talk about over in Newha and ECIC. But one of the things that Youth Hockey Hub YHH does each week is Summit Scorers, and we post on Friday and Saturday the collegiate hockey D1 scorers that were Minnesota-born. But I wanted to note this week, on Thursdays when UST St. Thomas played, we don't do Thursday Summit Scorers. So I texted Tony something to the effect of the entire St. Thomas roster are our Thursday Summit Scorers because there are 6 Minnesota-born scorers. But then I also noted, and except for the Swiss lady, but she also scored.
The Swiss lady?
So basically the entire St. Thomas roster plus the Swiss lady scored on Thursday.
Who's the Swiss lady?
Some other girl on the team that's not Minnesota-born. Ava Lindsay, Brown, Bartz, Sajovic, Stensley, and Kloff. Great job getting spreading out the scoring among
Ava Lindsay?
Yeah.
Sadie Lindsay?
Sadie Lindsay.
Sadie. Ava's at the U.
Yeah, Sadie Lindsay.
There you
Sadie
go.
Lindsay.
I've made that same mistake before.
Yeah. Well, so Summit scores for Thursday, not on X. That's my note. And then because there were just 2 out east. We didn't get our Saturdays. So Kenzie Batchelor from Princeton and Dylan Berman from Providence College were shouting you guys out Summit scorers for the weekend on Saturday.
Fantastic. Like to see Minnesotans all over the country get on that score sheet. There's no better advertisement for the state of hockey than to have our players contributing statistically. You want to get into these future games?
Yeah, let's talk about.
This is a big weekend.
Let's talk about the weekend battle. We'll talk
It's a big
about
weekend.
We'll talk about 1 versus 2 first, and then 3 versus 4 before we talk P-Dub jerseys and hear from Boom. So 1 versus 2. This is what everyone's been waiting for. Wisconsin's 12-0 right now.
They also haven't allowed a goal in 4 games in sweeps of Bemidji State and St. Cloud State. Now they take on Ohio State on the road. Gosh dang it. I was going to say we should go to one of these games if it were going to be in Madison, but it's going to be in Columbus.
Yeah.
So 1 versus 2, Wisconsin versus Ohio State. Massive, massive series. They're going to play at 5 o'clock on Friday, 2 o'clock on Saturday. I don't know if anyone can catch Wisconsin at this point.
Here's my take. Last year, Wisconsin was 12-0 going into their series against Ohio, and they lost on the road to Ohio. Wisconsin has not won a game in Ohio's building in 6 games. The last 3 times, including the one I just mentioned, that Wisconsin has been on a streak, OSU has been the team that stopped them. Nadine Muzzerall is an incredible coach, and she pulls together a team of players that the Wisconsin Badgers have had sort of an edge about, or, I don't know how to put it. So I played against Nadine.
Okay.
2001. I would say that there has hardly been a Badger squad since I've played that's been able to kind of dominate OSU.
Okay.
So my take is I think Wisconsin should win, but I think Ohio will win. I think Ohio could sweep or it'll go 1-1.
No way. No way.
That's my take.
I got a Wisconsin sweep here. Ohio State was taken to overtime on November 2nd by St. Thomas.
I think
Ohio
you're not
State
wrong.
was swept by Minnesota Duluth in the first series of the season.
The numbers say Wisconsin should win. But
The numbers.
history shows OSU will likely get at least 2 points this weekend.
Way, bro. No way.
Maybe 1 point.
No
But for sure,
way.
OSU is getting points.
No
for
way.
sure. I think Wisconsin's streak ends, and I think that's okay. But I just feel like Wisconsin, it gets in their head when they head to Ohio. Wisconsin, like I said, they've always had a history of getting in their head a little bit against Ohio. So even though I think Wisconsin's technically above OSU, I just think it's going to be a really good weekend. At least worth watching. If you're a hockey fan, if you want to see high-level women's hockey, this series will be worth watching.
That's what I'm going to be doing. I will not be watching. That sounds mean to say. Maybe I'll try to squeeze in every game here. The University of Minnesota taking on the University of Minnesota Duluth up at Amsoil Arena Friday 6 p.m., Saturday 3:01 p.m. That is legitimately what it says on the UMD Bulldogs website, 3:01 p.m. So they have it down to the minute when puck drop is going to be. I don't know about this one. UMD beat Minnesota State Mankato 4-1 and then tied the Mavericks on November 2nd. They've had some time to get healthy, take care of the bumps and bruises. If anyone's got a cold or the flu, they have had time to kick that. I like the Bulldogs at home.
I mean, I have to agree a little bit, but I think Minnesota is really aware that they've got something to prove right now, that they need to show that they're going to be coming out of what feels like maybe not a slump, but a slow roll. So I think Minnesota's going to come out fired up. I think Abby Murphy was just out on that international stage, and that should be a fun opportunity to come back and showcase herself back at the WCHA. So maybe she'll be on fire this weekend. But to that point, Minnesota was missing some roster players over the last week or so, as was Wisconsin. I don't think UMD will have had that kind of shift. I think this big international break is a nice reset. So you look at some of the momentum that some of these teams might have had. There could be a momentum shift coming out of a big break like this. This is sometimes where players and teams are gelling off the ice when some teams have their rosters chopped up. Other teams are connecting even more. So it could go either way here. But again, we talked about Duluth being a real gritty team, sticking and grinding it out through 3 periods in each game. And often their wins are just a goal or even an OT win. So they've been grinding. Minnesota, I think, has the ability to beat them on paper, but we'll have to see what team shows up that night. I think in the WCHA right now, literally top 7 teams, any team that shows up any night, any team can win in any one of these games in the top 7 teams, just depending on who's coming in to the building that night.
UMD Minnesota will be available on Fox 9 Plus and Big 10 Plus for your viewing pleasure. I know that I will do my best to tune in. Professional Women's Hockey League. Big news out of the PWHL, not only for our Minnesota Frost, but for the league as a whole. What do you want to do first? Do you want to do the league's big news or Minnesota's big news, Jocelyn?
We'll do Minnesota's big news.
All righty, Minnesota big news. Several staff additions here. Now, I'm going to run through the names for you, and you shout them out if you've played with any of these people, if you've been coached by any of these human beings, if you've played against any of these people.
I was going to say, I'm older than all these people.
All right, this is according to the PWHL website. The additions include assistant coach Chris Critter Johnson, goalie coach Pete Samardzija, team services manager Nick Bryant, strength and conditioning coach Shannon McCauley, skills coaches Andy Ness and John Shavo, assistant equipment manager Blake Cruz, and scouting consultants Danny Cameronese, Brodzinski, Haley Skarupa, and Alyssa Sleesman.
All right, yeah, there's lots of familiar names in there. What a package for the Frost to pick up for this season. There's lots of moving and shaking going on at P-Dub, and I love seeing the scouting, the strength and conditioning. Good stuff.
It seems like they're really kind of putting together an overhaul here of the previous regime. The new goaltending coach, Pete Samardzija, he does really good work. Everybody knows Danny Cameronese, and the fact that they're building out a scouting department and hiring 3 scouts right away, they're taking it seriously. This is not a one and done, one Walter Cup and we're out the door type of team. This team is building toward the next several seasons. I am curious where the nickname Critter comes from. Chris, call me. Just tell me where you got the nickname Critter. Media Day tomorrow. Who's on your list? In a continuation of the conversation,
I was going to say, God, we belabored this,
online.
But I've got Zumwinkle, Jakes.
Okay.
Who's the other one I asked about? Curl Salami.
Britta Curl. Okay.
Yeah.
You're big on Britta Curl.
You know I am.
You're gunning for Britta Curl. We're gonna get either.
We'll have her in the office.
We're gonna get her either in the office or
maybe I can even get her. Maybe her and I can get into a deer stand or something like that.
I don't know who would have more fun with that, Britta Curl or
she's probably got a more powerful
rifle
than me.
Probably. I hope that a lot of people show up tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping for. It's going to be an early afternoon start at Tria. It's at Tria, right, Kayla? At Tria. Hopefully, any media that is available, come on down, get your questions in. This is the time where you start pumping the league before the games actually start. even bigger news for the league as a whole, and this is what I'm really excited for. The PWHL will officially be available in Sorry about that. I just inhaled a whole bunch of gross office air. My apologies. The PWHL will be available in EA Sports' NHL 25. I learned so much about NHL rosters and coaches and play styles and what have you from playing video games. NHL 2004 was my jam. The Devils unstoppable in that game. But considering how much kids, and we're talking, ages, even technically adults over 18 play video games, how often people play video games, it just brings a whole nother level of familiarity, which can only be good for the league.
I totally agree. Especially I don't know a ton of young girls that are playing NHL unless their dads and brothers are playing. So that's like right along the lines of my mission, which is expand this exposure to more than just little girls all the time. So now you're reaching into all these men that play, all these boys that are playing NHL 25 can opt to choose a women's team and learn a little bit about those players, and awesome.
This version of the game will feature all 6 PWHL franchises. It will be available. You'll be able to play with these teams in Play Now, Online Versus, Shootout, and Season modes. So if you have NHL 25, make sure you get in some games with the PWHL clubs. If anyone wants to spot me $1,200 for a PS5 and for NHL 25 and an extra controller because you can't just have one, hit me up. Give me a call. Jerseys. Minnesota Frost releases their new jerseys, and the rest of the league also releasing their uniforms, but we don't really care about the rest of the league. So Minnesota jerseys. Jossie, thoughts?
Okay, there's lots of good hype about these jerseys this week. It's been really fun to see each of these teams' identities kind of transpire in front of us. I'm pumped about the jersey. It looks like we've added the periwinkle, or I should say Team Minnesota purple, to the
specific shade of purple
to the jersey, which is fantastic for anybody on Team Minnesota that wants to feel related to the Minnesota Frost. This F to me, I gotta say, somebody's eyeballs are crooked or something.
Somebody.
Well, okay, wait, is this an icicle?
So we were talking about it before, and as a graphic designer, I just want to see an icicle go down because that's how icicles work.
Is this an icicle? Icicles are not freezing.
It gives me electricity.
Angled. Nobody's freezing icicles angled.
It gives me electricity, not ice. But that's just me.
I gotta agree. I wish they would have used the words Minnesota Frost. You could even look at the oversized email signature that John Anderson has in his email.
That is a cool.
That would be an amazing front logo. I think somebody AI created this visual. It looks like to me, and nobody was like, he didn't nail it. I don't have a problem with the F per se, but the way it fits on the jersey. What's going on in this whole lower bottom right 2/3 of the jersey? What's going on there? There's nothing there. Nothing there.
I'm gonna give Frost the number 1 jersey slot based on the color scheme. It is so
agree.
It is unique. I think it really looks nice. I think it's going to look even nicer at the XL Center. I might end up getting one of these jerseys. You can pre-order a Taylor Heise Minnesota Frost adult Bauer replica home jersey. There are also youth uniforms available. I just think that Minnesota's uniforms look cool. What are the other colors here? Black, red. Ew.
I think all of the colors are pretty unique, but I love that purple for some reason.
Hold on. All the colors are unique. Ottawa's jersey's red.
Okay, that's the only one. Otherwise, Boston's is teal and dark green. Never seen that combo before.
Love it.
Love it.
I'm literally wearing it right now.
Ooh, Boston.
Sirens, also a unique color scheme.
I like that they added the orange, to be honest.
I do too.
I
love the orange.
I'm a big fan.
I love the orange.
No.
All of them are unique. Also, Montreal, it's got baby blue in a stripe.
The buzz
at the
on
bottom.
the street, everybody in town likes Montreal the most.
Because the logo is so great. It
if that were our jersey, I wouldn't be we got the best. Although
Saints,
everybody else says it.
What is that called? The fleur de lis. The fleur de lis is the head of the bird. There's an M in the bird. it's the whole thing is a bird, and then it's like a diamond shape.
whole
It
thing
just
is a
looks
bird?
really cool.
It is a bird.
Yeah, the fleur-de-lis is the bird's
There's
head.
there's a lot of like history. I
It's
think
really
it's
freaking cool
It's a very
looking.
like
But
poised
like
jersey.
The victory is not a bird though.
Victory, a symbol of it is like
Is a bird.
I don't know. You know, it is a bird though. Okay.
Okay,
Why
here's what
don't
Tessa
they just
Bonham
call the
says.
team the Montreal Birds?
Tessa Bonham says, "My kid," she said, "Here's how I choose which one I like the most. Which one could an elementary school girl draw? When you're sitting there doodling, you want to draw your team's logo. Nobody's drawn this. Nobody's freaking doodling this.
Yeah,
Okay?
but do you
maybe
need a
this
child to
Chargers,
draw a
maybe
logo?
this Chargers Calgary Flame they were drawing, but nothing else."
Do you need a child to draw the logo?
Well, so this was her point. This was her point. Her point was like, if you're a little kid, like you spend your whole day basically drawing your favorite
Yeah.
team's logo. So she was just thinking like, some of these kids got screwed.
Whatever branding agency they hired was not thinking of a kindergartner.
Yeah,
in
I think that's
Eden
what her
Prairie
co-host said,
trying
something
to
like, nobody
draw
cares
the
who can
logo.
draw what. And she was like, whatever.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad we got the perspective of the parent of an elementary school student. That's awesome. All right, you want to throw it to our wonderful interview with Greg Boom May? Jossie, why don't you throw it?
Okay, yeah. Well, stick around with us. We're gonna ask Greg Boom May what it's like to bring the.
That's what we do. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to you.
All right, we are here with Boom May, associate head coach at the Minnesota Golden Gophers women's hockey program. Thank you so much for being here with us, Boom. We go way back. We go back to Augie hockey. But tell us a little bit about yourself for any listeners who don't know you like I do from college.
Yeah, I so grew up in Minnesota, played at Burnsville High School, went to Augsburg right out of high school, which is rare even back in 2003. Played 4 years of college hockey there, and right when I got done playing, just got right into coaching. So I've kind of been all over the place. I would say majority of my time was spent in high school hockey. I was at Burnsville High School, at Farmington High School, at Blake. Went to the University of Minnesota on the men's side as their director of hockey operations. Went to Augsburg, my alma mater again, with the head men's. Got the head men's job there, and then just in my second year ever actually with women now at the Gophers.
Awesome. What a sweet hockey background you have. I like to say that like every team you've touched has turned to gold. I think that you have a very winning history, and it's fun to have seen the success that you and Dave have had over the years with the different programs that you guys have had some input in. And so congrats
I
on
appreciate that. I will say that this is a cliche answer, but like it helps to have good players. And I've been fortunate that the jobs that I've taken, people that have had interest in me have been ones that continue to have good players. So having good players makes you a good coach.
Definitely a cliche answer. Yeah, we're okay with that. It's a podcast. Okay, so you mentioned something that I definitely want to touch on. Part of this podcast, I'm trying to shed some light on some variations in the men's game and women's game and what that looks like from players and coaching perspective. So kind of the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit right away, like what are some major variations that you're seeing?
Yeah, we're going heavy right away.
Right off the
Yeah.
bat.
That's right. So I was fortunate that I do kind of my own private skill stuff and everything in the summer. I should say. This past summer was the first summer I didn't do it. But kind of what led me to wanting to go to the women's side, I had probably for about 3, 4, 5 years a large group of women that I trained in the summer. A lot of Division I athletes, actually a lot of players that are still playing out in the Ivy schools. Some that now have been drafted in the PWHL and whatnot, but they were always my favorite groups to work with. Obviously really good players, players that listened really, really well. They kind of had that social element where it was fun. And I always say this, like I was doing skills with them. So I wasn't telling them that they weren't on the first line or that they weren't on the power play or that they were going to be healthy scratched on Friday night or anything like that. So obviously it allowed them to be a little bit more fun and social with me. But it was an awesome group. And I always knew that kind of my demeanor, who I am as a person, would lend itself to the women's side of things. So it was an easy transition from that standpoint. But I do really believe, and people can argue this, like hockey is hockey to me. naturally because of the human body makeup, like are the men faster? Can they shoot a little harder? Are they more physical? Can they cover space, quicker? Their stick is probably longer just because their size again. Yes, of course, to all those things, but the same stuff that we're teaching, that we were teaching our men or our boys at the high school level or at the collegiate level, is the same stuff that we're teaching our women right now. We show NHL video to our women oftentimes. So the hockey, to me, it really is hockey. The biggest difference is, to me, honestly, is probably communication. And I think it's really comes down to like best practice from being a good coach too. But I feel like the female athlete wants to be communicated with more. They want to know why more. They tend to take things literal, they listen, right? So like they want to do what you're asking them to do or what you're talking to them about. And not to say that guys don't do that. It just seems like the women take it a little bit more to heart when you're having these conversations with them. So I feel like that's probably the biggest difference that I see from going from men to women. And like I said, it really, at the end of the day, is probably best practice anyway. And some stuff that I was doing with the guys that I was coaching too. But you got to be a good communicator with the female athlete for sure.
You say that your personality you felt would mesh well with the women's side of the game and your interactions, coaching skills. What do you mean by that? Do you mean like your communication style, the even timbre of your voice? Yep,
I would say yes to that. I'm not a screamer or a yeller. Like it would be a fraud if I walked in and started screaming at people or when they came off the ice and started yelling in their face. Like this is not who I am. A little bit more of my background. I taught for 9 years also. Actually at the elementary level, I had 1 year of middle school. So I feel like I'm a patient person.
You have to be.
Been around kids a lot. It was in a gym setting too, so you even have to be more patient with them. But yeah, like I said, I just feel like my communication style is much more teacher, student, even as a coach. It's the same, so.
Yeah, I was thinking that earlier today. I was thinking about things that we would talk about, and I wondered how your background in education translates not just to coaching, but coaching women. And interestingly, you mentioned like you were in the elementary school, and you almost think of like you're treating those people with kid gloves. You are, and is that similar to what you're referring to with women in a way? And then I'm also curious, like, does that then translate to some of this? Like for women, I'm not seeing as many women that are like the Abby Murphys, like like we call it hot shit aura on the show. And is that part of a little bit of a lack of some of that hardcore coaching? And I don't think hardcore coaching is the right answer, but a mindset that's more like we're going to treat women with a little bit more kid gloves, and maybe women like that long term. Maybe that's better for their emotional development or whatever the case is. But am I seeing fewer goals in the PWHL because of it?
Yeah, I don't know that I feel that way at all. Like I don't think that we don't talk about like how we need to treat this player with kid gloves, or that and I'm just using your word on that obviously, but I think you can coach them just as hard for sure. I guess going back to me again, like my coaching style really isn't different from the female athlete or the male athlete. I feel like the female athlete just needs to be communicated with more. I shouldn't say needs, wants to be communicated with more, where some guys don't really care. Like, if I change lines, like, great, I'm on a different line today, or whatever it may be, right? So, again, that's just my perception of it. With going back to Murph, so we meet with our captains once a week, and we're going over a book right now called The Captain Class with them. And one of the 7 traits of a elite captain is extreme doggedness, and she'll hopefully take this as a compliment, but she's a dog, right? Like, and do I wish we had a few more dogs? Yeah, of course I do wish we had a few more dogs. But I don't know if hard coaching or grabbing a player's face mask or screaming I'm after a shift is going to make them a dog either, right? So
probably make them not register next year.
Yeah, exactly. Or transfer.
Hit that portal, dog.
Right. So I don't know that our coaching style or philosophy is any different if it's a female or a male. I think, speaking for myself, I'm coaching the same no matter what. It's just more of who I am as a person.
Cool.
So from level to level, male to female, what are some you said best practices earlier. What are some universal truths or universal ways to bring that dog out of players, no matter the level or the gender?
Yeah, it's a good question too. I wish I knew because we'd probably have more
Yeah,
dogs
yeah.
on our team. But,
The PWJ game,
yeah, right.
2-0 at least.
right. I think you can do a lot in practice, and this may sound dumb to some people, but like how you blow the whistle, how you tap your stick on the boards, how you tap your stick on the ice when a drill is going on. Like, are you moving up and down the rink with the players as they're doing their drills, or are you just standing with your hand against the wall? Like just that energy, that enthusiasm. Just I don't want to say constantly barking, but like you're just there's energy in the building, right? And it's if the captains or the players aren't always going to lead it, like someone needs to lead it. So it needs to be a coach at times that's doing that. Like we do a ton of video with players, so individual video. So I run the forwards at Minnesota, so I have essentially 15 forwards that I'm quote unquote charged with, right? So the 12 or 13 that are dressed every Friday or Saturday night, like I'm cutting up their clips no matter what. And then throughout the week, it's kind of on them. If they want to watch video with me, then it's always available for them. And I have probably 6 or 7 that I meet with every single week, no matter what. Like Tuesday at this time, I know I'm meeting with this player. And there's others that I meet with maybe once every 3 weeks. There's some that I meet with once a season. Just kind of, again, what they want for them. But my whole point of bringing that up is that I do think you can talk to the individual there about kind of that doggedness as well. Doesn't mean it's always going to show up and not going to show up immediately. But take a look at this forecheck here. What do you notice? Are you moving your feet? Like we talk about being relentless. Is this being relentless right now? And the video doesn't lie, obviously. Right. So a lot of times when you're in a one-on-one setting and they don't feel like they're in a threatening environment or getting called out in front of their team, like they can really see like, oh geez, like that isn't real great effort right there. Or maybe my first effort was good, but I have no second effort. Like I gave up on it right away. So
Thanks to Live Barn, I can relate to all of this.
yeah. So I do think that that's another way of getting out of it. It's high expectations is what it is. Like going back to like your word of best practice or my word of using best practice, like if you have high expectations for players and you hold them to those high expectations, like more often than not, they're going to at least attempt to reach those expectations.
Well, I love what you said about it's how you tap your stick on the board. It's how your body language as a coach at practice. Because sometimes you got to remind your players, look, I played at a high level too, all right? I'm not just some idiot sitting here telling you to do things that I can't do myself. Like I can do this. Yeah. And sometimes as a coach, you have to set the pace at practice, like you said, because sometimes the players aren't ready to go.
Yeah, my pace isn't quite as good as it once was, but
I bet you're the best.
I'm okay I'm at 50%.
Who's better at setting the pace, you or Brad?
No answer.
Okay, good. You're the associate. You're the associate pace setter. He's the head pace setter. All right.
Well, I mean, I can't not ask more questions about Abby Murphy and coaching Abby Murphy.
Yeah.
She's obsessed with that, Abby Murphy.
I am. I am. It's like I can't tell if I love her or hate her. It's both. And and like historically, I've been a Gopher fan, but like since I played at Wisconsin, I've been a Wisconsin hockey fan. So I'm really torn as far as Gopher women's hockey goes. Like how much love I have,
we'll flip you in these 30 minutes.
I hope so. And so, like, I mean, I am into a player that gets people talking about the sport for sure. So I saw her on the Jocks and Jills podcast this week. She's just a personality. She is so good. And she's been out all week. You said out east of the Rivalry series. Yeah. Okay, so I just want high-level tidbits. What's it like coaching Abby Murphy? How do you keep her reined in? Like I think I mentioned, like, I saw her try to get decapitated against Layla Edwards. Like, how do you make sure she doesn't decapitate herself? Stuff like that. Yeah. I just want to know it all.
She is a obviously awesome to coach.
Yeah.
Like the energy you see, like when you're talking about the Jock and Jill podcast, like that's who she is.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if I wish there was one thing about her that people could know is like who she is as a person, right? Because like who she is on the ice is totally different than who she is off the ice. So I'll share a story that I've shared many times with other people, but I have a 7-year-old daughter. So last year she was 6. We lost in the WCHA semis to Wisconsin in a pretty heartbreak fashion. We're up by goal with under 30 seconds left. I think they scored with 8 seconds to tie it. They win in overtime. The next morning at 8 a.m., my 6-year-old daughter had a game down in Prior Lake, and Murph showed up from Minneapolis to go watch her play. Oh. Like those are things that people don't know about her and see about her. So she's first and foremost like an amazing person, unbelievable with kids. And you actually said it, and she has said this before too, like she wants eyes on the sport.
Yeah.
And now again, is she walk into a game like trying to be a showman? No, I don't think that that's who she is either. But if she has an opportunity that's going to get eyes on the sport, that she's going to do it, right?
Yeah,
So
I love that.
But yeah, I mean, you talk to her national team coaches and stuff, and these coaches and players from other countries do not like playing against her, right? Like again, there's probably a little bit of hate. There's probably a little like nervous. What are you going to do to me? What are you going to say to me? Her language on the ice is she's a dog, right? Like I said, and that's what makes her who she is. Like we don't want to tone her down, to be honest with you, right? Like, do we need to keep her within the rules of the game? Yeah, of course.
Well, here's what I saw. So not only is she your leading scorer by a long shot, or leading points, I should say, she's also your leading penalty minutes by a significant margin, but your opponents are like 6 and 36 on, so it's not like it's impacting you.
Yep.
Her penalties aren't impacting you guys necessarily on the board.
Yeah. No, the tough part is that she's also one of our best penalty killers. So
yeah, you want her on the ice, but hey, you know what? Spread the love. Get some other girls some PK.
Yeah, but no, I think in general, like again, what you see of her is who she is. Like we talked offline about skill sessions that we do before practice. She's out there. I would say out of the 3 days, she's out there 2/3 of the days, no matter what. Like she just loves it. She loves getting better. She wants to be coached. She wants to be coached hard. She wants to be held accountable, but at the same time, like she's got some bite to her, right? And that's what makes her who she is as a hockey player. Like if she didn't have that in her, I don't think that she would be who she is.
And is that always warmly welcomed by everybody in the locker room, or do you ever sense that there are some players who feel like that's just more than I'm in the market
for?
No,
I think because of what I kind of started off by saying, like she is such a good teammate. Yeah. So like what you see on the ice is not who she is in the locker room, at her house, in class, in our coach's lounge, in our players' lounge. Like she's everybody's one of their favorites, so.
This spring I played in a Legends tournament in Chicago. She coached the opposing team in our championship game. So she's out. It's like a half trans team, half old lady league.
Sure.
Of course, we're in our glory days, so it was a big deal.
Casual drop that you played in a Legends game.
No, this is like legitimate. Like me and my friends got a team together and put like scrap jerseys together.
And called yourself the Legend?
No, we have a different name. It was just a league of people. I call the people that are like 40 plus legends because like what else do you call women who are playing at 40? Abby Murphy's coaching the other team. I mean, so we're in Chicago, and this is what she's doing on her Sunday afternoon in the spring. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. She rarely. I actually don't know if she's has said no that I know of to an opportunity like that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, she made herself prevalent. There are little kids in the stands, and it was like a 9-division women's tournament, so she was available for everybody to visit and meet. And this is in Chicago.
Yes,
so
that's how she is.
Yeah. Anyway, hats off to Abby Murphy. Like I said, you're converting me.
Good. We're trying.
Not to belabor the point by bringing out Wisconsin, but since 2016, which is the last time the University of Minnesota won a national title. Obviously, you weren't with the program, but I'm going to ask your opinion on it anyway because you're sitting here with a microphone in front of your face. Since 2016, it's been Clarkson, OSU, or Wisconsin. Yeah. And I'll ask about OSU and Wisconsin since they're closer to home. What are they doing that might be different from you guys in Dinkytown that's leading to a different caliber of player? Because they have ended up as the top team in the country. Out of the last 5 years, it's been Wisconsin or Ohio State. What are they doing that might be different?
That's a good question. Again, I think if we had the full answer, that we would be flipping the script on them, sooner than later here.
Right.
But to speak to Ohio State, like they have a clear identity about them. Like if you ask even a player in our locker room, like they have an identity. Like they are relentless. They're in your face. They're dog on bone. Like
sticks come up.
They're
a little bit.
Motheralls.
Yeah, it's
little mini Motheralls.
It's wave after wave of you don't even know who the top line is or the top players. Like they're all the same, right? And net front battles, like they're unbelievable in front of their own net. They're unbelievable in front of the opponent's net. Like so, they have a clear identity to them. Wisconsin, I think, also has a clear identity to them. It's different. Like they're high flying offense. Like they're going to try to outscore you, right? But at the same time, like I think they have 4 shutouts in a row. So it's not like they take the defensive side of the game off either. For us, I think right this second, we're still trying to find that. To be honest with you, we're not supposed to be an arrogant comment. Like we're the Gophers. Like we're always going to have offense. Mm-hmm. We're always going to attract players that want to play offensively. But like, is there something missing to get over that hump to win a championship again? I think the answer is yes. It's trying to figure out what that is within the makeup of our group, obviously. And, again, like I use the word fraud, but like if X isn't what we are, then we can't force that out of them, right? So like, what can we get out of them that is going to build a little bit more of an identity to who they are, so that no matter who we play, no matter what night it is, no matter what time of day it is, like that team knows that when the Gophers come to town, like, holy crap, like this is what we're going to get here this game, right? And maybe I'm too harsh of a critic on our own team. Like, I don't know if we have that yet right this second. I also will say that we are a fraction of who we're going to be by the end of the year and who we can become by the end of the year. I think we have 10 new players again on this year's roster, and we're still trying to find our way. And again, to use that same word, trying to find our identity here too this year. But it's not for lack of effort. I know that. And the other thing I will say too, like, and you guys know this in sports, like, it's not an excuse. It's just a fact. Like, you got to be lucky. Like, things got to go your way. Like, you got to get bounces. You got to have the refs that make the call for you, not against you. The puck's got to go posting in, not posting out. You got to be healthy. You got to be injury free. You got to peak at the right time. Your goalie's got to be hot. Like, there's so many things that have to happen to win a championship. And again, it's not to excuse that we haven't won one for 8 years. But there's a lot that has to go right. The one thing that I will say about our program is that we're consistently at the top. Like, we're consistently having chance every year, and that's the start. Like, that's what you want, right? And
that's
really
been since like 1999.
That's what I was going to say.
Just
Since
never
the inception
stopped.
of women's
Right.
college hockey.
If anything, this to me is indicative of a nice growth bubble that the league or the sport's going through,
For sure.
because you're seeing other teams come on, step up and make statement weekends happen and play well against the Gophers in their second game. It's making people talk about the game a little bit. So if anything, I think we talked about how the Gophers will pull through this season. We know that in like maybe 2 episodes ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for lack of better words, the bottom has come up. Like, there's way more parity in women's hockey than there ever has been, and you see it in our own league. Like, and Frosty was just talking about this the other day. Like, teams that a decade ago or 15 years ago, they might win 9-0, like, just because they put the jersey on. Like, that just doesn't happen anymore. Like, you're in dogfights every night, and I think the teams that have for lack of better words, again, like the lesser talent on paper, like, they have found blueprints to stay with the higher end teams, right? And that's what makes sports fun.
the game is coming into its own where you can play systems based with a strong pool of talent and hang in.
Yeah, for sure.
When you talk about establishing an identity, how much of that is instilling fear into your opponent? Because OSU strikes, when I watch Ohio State walk into the rink, I think there's a little bit of fear that strikes the hearts of their opponents. Is that something that you guys are working on?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's who we are. Like, I feel like we're more like we got to get some swagger. Like
the nicest girls in town.
Peyton Hemp is scary.
They're like
Peyton
holding
Hemp
teddy bears. They're like,
scary.
hi, you guys.
Yeah.
Peyton Hemp is scary. Don't tell me she's not scary.
Yeah, no. And it's,
You
again,
got like
it's-
the Grace Zumwinkles.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's not to say that they don't play hard, right? Like, I was just talking about Murph, who she's unbelievable off the ice and on the ice. She's a different person, but it's just that swagger. Like, we're going to come in, and I don't care who you are. Like, you're going to get the Gophers tonight, right? And we're going to get every single shift. Like, there's no shift off, there's no stride off, and this is who we are. Like, see if you can beat us.
Here's my question: what does it look like between like ice baths and stuff after game 1 up to like showing up with coffees at game 2? What's going on? Like, what are these girls doing?
It's a good question. I don't know if I'm using the
Watching
coaches.
TikTok.
I'm usually
imagine,
watching video.
I was gonna say, I imagine you're probably not there, but
Yeah.
but like, I mean, just from playing in that level of hockey, I mean, I think that's what I mentioned. Is like, is like we see the Gophers coming out strong night 1, and maybe it's the second day that we see in the 2 series where you guys have had a second game that maybe you didn't get the points you wanted. Like, it's the second game. So is there that's the first thing I think of.
Recovery is huge. Like, we have high level athletes on our team. Like, I think if you walked in the room and said, who wants to play in the PWHL, I think every single hand would go up.
Yep.
We have a handful of players that have already been in the Olympics. We have another crop of players that will be in the Olympics before their time is done, right? So we're talking high level athletes here. So they definitely take care of themselves from a nutrition standpoint, from a recovery standpoint. I know they do post game cool downs together as a group. Ice baths, Normatex, just all the stuff that's the beauty of being at a Big Ten institution. Like, there's no stone unturned for them as far as what they need to be at their best, even with a, whatever that is, 12-hour recovery or whatever they have between games, to make sure that they're playing at their peak performance.
So then you're like, you got the physical covered. You're like, okay, is it mental, or what? You're just like trying to dig deep there? But it's still early, and you've played each of those teams once so far. You get another shot at both of them.
Yep, exactly. Nope. And we've had good games with them. We we played Ohio State very tight both games. Both could have gone either way. Wisconsin, we had probably a 4 or 5 minute real big lapse where that's who they are. They're going to capitalize.
They will
right?
capitalize right
Yep.
now, yeah.
And the next game, it's finding a way to close. We have a 3-goal lead, and it's trying to figure out ways to, as they start scraping back and 3-1 and take a penalty, 3-2, okay, we're fine. Reset, ground yourself. Let's make sure that that we're not worried about what just happened, but let's stay in the present and make sure that that we're finding ways to close those games out.
Well, and it was the end of October when Minnesota reached 500 WCHA conference wins. First WCHA team to do that in history of women's hockey. So
Congratulations.
that's super
that's cool.
impressive. A testament to the legacy that the Gophers really truly are. So as you mentioned, we expect that they'll stay in the top 1, 2, 3.
Us too.
Yeah.
You get to take on number 4 Minnesota Duluth this weekend. Would you rather sweep all of your Minnesotan opponents, or would you rather sweep OSU and Wisconsin?
Yes.
No, you got to pick one.
I don't know if I can pick one, honestly.
Shoot, right now you need all Minnesota opponents for points.
Yeah, we need all the
We'll
points.
take that.
to get
We'll go with
always,
that
but-
for now.
Yeah, I truly mean this when I say this is not supposed to be a wishy-washy answer. We are very process-oriented at Minnesota. Frosty has been forever. I have been, honestly, forever too. Now the two of us coming together, Mitch Baker and Jess Scott, our other 2 coaches on our staff, are very process-driven too. So we honestly don't talk about winning a lot. I don't know if we really ever do. Truthfully, we talked on Monday this week of a pretty big series this weekend, which our players know about, and make sure we get dialed in early this week and we're focused on everything we're doing. But we never say we got to get 3 points this week, or we got to get 6, or we got to sweep Duluth. We're really focused on ourselves and trying to make sure that we're the best version of ourselves. And we use this a lot, but pretend there's a drape over the scoreboard. Let's do X, Y, Z really well today, and let's rip that drape off and see what happens. See what happens on the scoreboard. And we feel that as kind of kumbaya-ish as it sounds, that if we do those things, the result is going to be in our favor more often than not because of the talent that we have.
Yeah, I think that's a great philosophy.
If you're all process-oriented, how many spreadsheets make their way around the office during a day?
I'm big on spreadsheets myself.
All right. Are you a Mac guy or a PC guy?
Mac.
You're a Mac guy.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna make that a note. We'll
Yeah.
send you a gift bag.
Those spreadsheets. Michelle Willie, she likes spreadsheets.
She does
Yeah.
love spreadsheets. What do you expect from UMD this weekend?
Well, they're really good for one. Different new coach this year. Obviously, Shu's been on their staff, for a little while here now too. But in the head coach role, new voice. But they're deep. They're good at every position. They have an elite goalie. Their freshman class is very, very good. They defend super, super well, super hard. They're kind of one of those teams that they're just as comfortable without the puck as they are with the puck. So we were talking earlier about the PWHL games being 1-0, 2-0 games. That's what I would expect this weekend. They're going to be dogfight type games.
That's what they've done weekend over weekend. They're 1-goal games every weekend,
Right.
and they're getting wins, but just eking them out, grinding them out.
Yeah, 2-1, 3-1 type of games, the same way it was last year too. Of course, you have the in-state rival and number 3 versus number 4, so there's going to be some physicality and all that kind of stuff too. But I expect 2 really good games that both will come down to the wire.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see for sure. Well, before we wrap up, I'd like to know what's your favorite PWHL jersey that was revealed this week?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually like them all, honestly. I don't know. I kind of like the Montreal uni. You did too?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of buzz for that
We-
jersey.
Really? Yeah. I can honestly say I don't think that there was a bad one. I think they did a good job with it. I'm looking forward to the next phase of your breezers, your helmets, all that right now, because now they're still, I believe, just black or navy or whatever it is. But
And then throwbacks, 5 years away.
yeah. What are we going to go with? Just the diagonal name? Yeah.
I'm out on this. I have zero opinion. I
Yeah.
have zero opinion.
Yeah.
All right, my last question for you, Farmington Blake, Augsburg, U of M men's, U of M women's. What do I need to do to make my LinkedIn look like yours? Because nobody is better at moving up the ladder, and I mean that as a total
Yeah, I
compliment.
appreciate that.
Them,
Everybody
boom,
needs
May.
a Lania at home.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you saying that because I feel the same way that I know I talk to even friends or whatever or peers within the coaching world that that kind of give me crap for like, where are you at this year? Are you still there? Or you know, and I truly believe, for one, in life, that like you never know when a door is going to open, right? Like you have a choice to walk through that door, but you never know when the door is going to open. And I feel like every move also has been kind of a ladder move as well. So I said this earlier, and I know you guys gave me crap for it, but like I've been lucky enough to be around good players. Like going back to when I was assistant coach at Burnsville High School in 2010 through 2014, like you got the Brock Besses of the world, Tyler Sheehy, Timu Kivihalme, Jack Ashan. Like those are some pretty good players to be around, where not only are you learning things from them, but they're going to help you get wins. Wins help you get jobs, and so on. So I've been lucky for that. Coaches that I've been around, I've been super lucky to learn a ton from them and have them as mentors and stay in touch with them too. But yeah, I don't know. So to answer your question, find some mentors, find some wins, find some good players that are going to make you look better.
I'm going to hit you up on LinkedIn after this. We're going to connect. And the next time you get a job, I'm going to like it. And I'm going to leave you a review, like an endorsement.
Yes.
In that same vein, I know I said it was my last question, but I got another one. If a program, and this is a complete hypothetical, I'm not saying it's happening, but if a program like Bemidji State called and said, hey, we want to hire you as a head coach, and you're not starting with premium ingredients. No offense, Bemidji State, but your record this season has indicated that it's not exactly Whole Foods. Could you do that?
Meaning,
would you enjoy the challenge of starting from?
And I did it
one?
when I went to Blake.
Okay.
And again, it's different gender and a different level. It's high school boys, but when I went to Blake, I mean, we were. I think I can say this, a pretty mediocre Class A team. Yeah,
not great.
Right. It's actually my only season, knock on wood, in my coaching career that I've been under 500 is one game under 500. But we had to get good in a hurry, and we had a plan for that when I was hired. And you know, I think it came to fruition when I went to the Minnesota men's side, but Rob McClanahan obviously took over. He was one of my assistants and took over and went to the state tournament, got third place that next year. And so yeah, I think the challenge is great. It's totally different. Like coaching elite players is different than coaching like the more traditional blue collar players. None. I wouldn't say any is better or worse. Like you honestly have to kind of coach them a little bit different. Like people always think at this, like, you know, I was just saying how I've been fortunate to be around good players. Like it's not easy to coach good players either. Like sometimes it's actually easier to coach the player who needs more, and that's blue collar, and that's willing to do anything the coach tells them to do, versus the elite player who has maybe had other coaching from other places and have heard other things, or just thinks that they know better than what you do because I'm the one playing and you haven't played for 20 years, and you know, what do you know in this situation here? So I just think it's totally different, right? Like building a program and trying to find ways to manufacture wins and squeeze everything you can out of players. And out of your group versus players that you have the pressure of, like we do right now, right? Like besides Wisconsin, Ohio State, we're favored in every single game that we play. Like there's a lot of pressure on us as coaches. There's pressure on our players to perform. There's pressure day to day, like throughout the week, to make sure we're preparing for those games. And I've used this already, but like it's a different beast. But yeah, I think I'd enjoy the challenge of that for sure. Would I rather stay at a spot where we're a national championship contender every year, of course, but yeah, I mean, I think both are fun in its own way.
That's why I believe there's good hockey players on every team in Minnesota, and that's why I think there is something unique about you, your perspective, experience, but I think that your background in education and psychology makes you just a head and shoulders above some other people in relating to these kids, and I think that that's making a huge impact on the game.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any final words?
No, I mean, this is awesome. You guys are doing this. So like we talked a little bit offline too about visibility for women's hockey, and like this is how you get it, like exposure and visibility, like podcasts and websites, social media, getting on TV a little bit more, which we are this year too. I think both our games this weekend, Friday, Saturday, are on Channel 9 actually. So, you know, anything that people can do to help continue to increase the visibility and the exposure of women's hockey, because they deserve it. Like it's super, super good hockey. Like until you go to a game and feel it, and just a plug for us, obviously, at Minnesota, like you go to Ritter Arena in front of 2,000, 3,000, 3,500 people, like it's a pretty sweet atmosphere. You got you got the band there, and but until you actually walk in the door and see it firsthand, like you don't know how good the hockey is. So
6 on Friday, 3 on Saturday.
6 on Friday, 3 on Saturday up in Duluth.
Up in Duluth, Amsoil. You can find it on Big Ten Network.
Big
If you
Ten,
wanna-
yeah, Big Ten Plus, and I
Big
think
10
on
Plus.
Channel 9 locally.
Hell yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in here, saying yes to the interview. We're still getting our legs underneath us at the Women's Hockey Pod, and we are hoping that coaches aren't going to ignore our calls. So we really appreciate you taking leadership, saying yes, and now we
course.
challenge some other people to
Tell your friends.
come in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tell your
Awesome.
friends.
Thank you so much, Boom.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Hey, there's no way around. I'm top of the mound. I'm queen of the mountain. My cup running over. I already told ya, I'm moving fast.